Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Antonio, and welcome to the new episode of Restaurant Abroad. Today, I'm with the managing team of Leo Bardock. Starting from the left, we have the strategic managers, Shrikant and Denise. We have the HR manager, Rebecca. And last but not least, we have the marketing managers, Cherry and Kyla. So guys, today on the program we will talk about how the company prepared moving into Egypt, the challenges and cultural barriers they faced, and how they successfully integrated into the foreign market. Leo Bardocks is a local Irish company which decided to move internationally, specifically to the Egyptian market. It's been founded in 1913. The headquarters is in Tala. They have 65 employees and their business model is pretty simple. They have 6 family-owned businesses and 3 franchises. Starting with the cultural challenges, which were the main cultural differences that you found and how did you deal with them?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the question, Antonio. That's something that we mulled over a lot. Obviously, there is a lot of differences in culture between Ireland and Egypt. One model that we found really helpful initially was the Lewis model, which, as you can see, Ireland and Egypt fall on almost opposite spectrums of the three key areas. Ireland, we would be more of a linear active culture, using a lot of structured methods like agendas and timetables. Egypt is more so towards the multi-active. So they would find it a little bit more constricting. So we definitely had to adjust our processes accordingly. So on that note, I mean, as I was saying, there is a lot of differences between Egypt and Ireland. A few of the key differences would be mainly our language barrier. In Egypt, they mainly speak Arabic, whereas we would speak English, obviously. There's a huge population disparity. Egypt has many times the population of Ireland, and also the economy, their currency is different as well. So those are all factors that we had to take into consideration when we were moving from Ireland to Egypt.
Thank you so much for the wonderful explanation, Rebecca.
Of course, yeah, thank you for asking. But it wasn't just me. My colleague Shrikant also looked at some of the frameworks, and he's going to talk a little bit about the Hofstede's country comparison.
Welcome, Shrikant, please.
Hey guys, so I'm going to be talking about the Hofstede comparison between Egypt and Ireland. So what does it mean for an Irish food company expanding into Cairo, Egypt? So let's look at the graph provided in front of us. As you can see, different factors between the two, and nothing really is of equal wavelength as they all are different. So I'm going to be focusing on uncertainty avoidance and indulgence in specific. As you guys can see in front of you, Ireland is an indulgent country with positive attitudes towards optimism, while Egypt is a bit restrained and they do not encourage unorthodox behavior, which makes them less indulgent. So while talking about uncertainty avoidance, Ireland is quite low in comparison to Egypt as they embrace creativity and new methods to solve problems. While on the other hand, Egypt being culturally dominant, do not encourage behavior that is not part of their culture. So they are very stuck to their own beliefs.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Shrikant. Now, we will move on to the marketing managers, Kyla and Cherry. And we want to know, apart from the drastic differences that you found between the two cultures, what did you find out regarding the two different styles of conducting business between the two countries?
Yeah, so initially we had to start looking at what business culture Ireland has, and we found information out about the fact that they dress quite conservatively when it comes to going to meetings. They also like to give business cards and have quite a lot of small talk at the beginnings of meetings. They're also not that time conscious, so arriving like 15 minutes late is normally not that big of a deal. Their business hours as well tend to be between Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to about 5:30 with an hour break. Sunday tends not to have any business because of the religious background of the country being very Christian. We also tend to be very slow when it comes to decision making, which is quite key in conducting business in Ireland. So after having done an overview of Irish business culture, we needed to get some information on how Egypt then conducts their business. So Cherry then had a look at this.
Yeah. Thank you for Kayla introducing us the Irish business culture. We'll move on to the Egyptian business culture. As we dig out the deeper research on it, we did find some similar points between these two cultures, including their business dress, their business practice, and their business card. They also like to dress formally for their business meeting, and it's also a common way for them to exchange the business card with people. But it's better to have the business card both in English and Arabic. That would be more convenient for them. And for the business practice, they are also the slow decision maker. So it's not possible for them to arrange all the meeting for one day. But they also share some differences, like commonly use the business hours from Monday to Friday. In Egypt, they like to have their weekdays from Sunday to Thursday. And the business hour also vary from summer to winter time. So you'd better look for their timetable first before you doing business with them.
Thank you so much for the wonderful insights that you gave us related to the business culture. Now, moving on to the food, which are the main differences that you found out?
As an Irish fish and chips company, we do very well in Ireland with our Catholic background and history in Ireland. Fish is normally eaten on Fridays. For Ireland as well, we tend to eat a lot of potato as a staple food here, which is why we do so well with our chips too.
Wow, but things are different in Egypt because the Egyptian cuisine is the complex combination of all kinds of the Mediterranean dishes, such as the Greek or Turkish or Syrian and other dishes. So, and one thing we need to pay attention is that because of the huge population of the Muslim, the pork products are really offered on the market. So it's quite a good start for us to with the fish to enter the market.
So moving on, I'm going to provide a bit of insight regarding the SWOT analysis that we have performed, starting with the strengths. As you can see, the experience that the employees share with the international consumers is a major strength that they have, followed by quick service times. Moving on to weakness, we can see that they're not very well established in the country and they lack foreign experience hence. So the recipe adaptation could be a bit of a problem for them initially. So moving on to opportunities, we can see that they are based in a very large tourist industry in Cairo. So that is a boost for them in terms of tourist people coming and availing their services. And followed by threats, we could see they may be facing culture shock and language barriers as establishing a new restaurant in a new completely different continent could be a problem for them. So after the SWOT analysis, we're going to be moving on to the pestle analysis, which is going to be introduced to you by my colleague Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Srikanth. So like we were talking about, we had to do a lot of analytics before moving into Egypt. A really important aspect of this was the pestle analysis in order for us to see, the wide breadth of potential issues that could arise if we were moving into Egypt. So starting off, politically, as Srikanth had mentioned, there is a lot of tourism development, which is perfect for us because we are so used to dealing with, international audiences being here in Dublin, which is a huge, tourist destination. So we're pretty comfortable in that regard. Economically, it's always good to be moving into a self-sustainable and, stable economy. That was something that was really important to us. Socially, Cairo is a mixture of modern and authentic lifestyles, which we found really significant because we find that that sort of lifestyle is reflective of Dublin as well. Technologically, there is a huge, there's a lot of development for telecommunications, which was important for us because we were able to remain in constant contact with the Dublin office, especially within those first few months when there were a lot of questions and concerns. Egypt is also very environmentally friendly and environmentally conscious, which is a great, which is important for us, not only ethically, but it also is good for our brand because it reflects positively on us. And legally, we were collaborating with the authorities in regard to the regulation of fishing and our employer-employee visas. But thankfully, everything was able to be sorted out, and we're really, really happy with the progress that we've made thus far.
Wow, interesting key facts related to the culture, the business, and the food. But another important question is, what about the main analytical frameworks that you use to analyze the Egyptian business scenario?
So our colleague Shrikant did an initial analysis using SWOT, so he's going to take over to go over that.
In order to be more competitive, we adapted the recipe according to the Egyptian cuisine. Egyptians put a great emphasis on fresh fish, therefore we were mostly frying tilapia and mullet with a lighter version of the butter than the one used in Ireland. This is served with baked or fried potatoes with a mix of spices. As side dishes play an important part in the Egyptian cuisine, customers can add mashed fava beans, tabbouleh salad, or fried halloumi cheese. Also, as the Irish version of the fish and chips is too bland for the Egyptian cuisine, we're adding a mix of spices such as cumin, coriander, ginger, mint, or cinnamon.
Thank you so much, Denise, for your huge contribution to the process. Now it's time to get down to business, I believe. And I want you guys to explain us into the public, how did you structure your business plan of the past year?
Thanks, Antonio. So we've already gone through a lot of the tools that we used in order to analyze our business plan, how we could effectively mitigate some of the cultural differences. So as we've already mentioned, we've gone through the pesto analysis, all the competitors that we found, as well as our SWOT analysis. We also developed a budget and found a key location in our first quarter. After this, the second quarter is when we started to move on to more of the HR aspects of the company, sorting out a staff guideline and starting the recruitment process.
Yeah, after all this preparation, now we went to the detail in our third quarter. In order to give more promotion and the advertisement for our products, we even partnership with some local food apps. And then in order to make our employers more familiar with our products and our brands, we also offer the training. So when we all did these things done, we chose our opening date finally. And then in the fourth quarter, we have to monitor all the activities during the operations. Like we will check down and also record our financial performances and also gain some feedback from our customers. So in our next year, our goal is to open up a second restaurant which will make us gain more market share in Egypt.
Wow, what a fantastic, well-structured 12-month business plan. Now, I have another question for you guys. As expatriates, which were the main challenges that you found in dealing with the new culture in terms of shocks?
When I came to Egypt at first, it was very interesting and there was a lot of history to be seen. But then midways, I started to struggle a bit. There was a huge difference in the holidays, also in the religion. There was a language barrier and a class-based system where people mostly socialized within their classes.
Yeah, it was really fantastic because Leo Burdock was really, really supportive. They offered a lot of cross-cultural training, not just for us, but for our spouses as well, which is so important to us because, if our spouses are unhappy, we're unhappy. They offered support groups so that we were able to talk about, our culture shock and the emotions that we were feeling. And they also offered cultural events as well that allowed us to interact with Egyptian nationals and get cultural information from them as well. So it was all over, fantastic.
This wonderful business case shows us how crucial is understanding cultural differences in foreign markets. especially when a company is planning to enter, in this case, in the Egyptian one. Leo Bardock has effectively established his presence within the new market by understanding its target audience, the relative culinary traditions, and its habits. This wonderful, cohesive group has conducted brilliant research related to the market, and this has been, in my opinion, the main recipe for success of Leo Bardock in the Egyptian market. Thank you so much for watching this program. I'll get you guys to the next one. Bye bye.